All right, guys, it's Jarod Carter here with Scott Waddell, and we are at patientsites.com, his company, and a really awesome software or platform for internet marketing of clinic sites, as well as incorporating all of the social media components, email marketing, and we're going to run through each component of what Patient Sites does for you, and I'm really excited about this because they pretty much cover everything I tell people to do on their own. They do for you in as many ways as possible and more. Some really exciting new features. So let's jump right in, Scott, and show us what it's all about.
Great. Thanks for the introduction, and thrilled to be able to do this with you.
Yeah.
So welcome to Patient Sites. What we're going to do is essentially a condensed demonstration of what our product is. Jarod, if you have any questions as we go through, that'd be great if you want to just pipe in. And I'll try to keep this fairly tight. If anybody has any questions, feel free to contact us offline, and we can absolutely chat. A little bit of quick background on our business. So Patient Sites has been around for 7 years, and we work with physical therapy clinics around the world in trying to create the gold standard for online marketing for PT clinics. Our background very quickly, prior to starting Patient Sites, was working on six-figure type online marketing programs for some really large brands like Microsoft, McDonald's, TD Financial Group, and also created a number of products along the way. And what we sought out to do a few years ago was to create a product that brought the best applications that we had seen in terms of online content marketing, lead conversion, from all of our learnings working with large companies, and create it to deliver something for the physical therapy industry that essentially is the gold standard for online marketing. So we'll take you through the tool as we would show anybody that's kind of interested in our product. We always say, if you take a look at what we do and you have any questions just in terms of how you're doing your own marketing outside of working with Patient Sites, we love to have the opportunity just to talk to different people. And it doesn't have to necessarily be our product. We try to be approachable, and that's also how we learn and get different perspectives. So if you're ready, Jarod, we'll get underway.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great. So I'm going to start by flipping through a couple of different clinic websites that we work with. And the only reason for doing that is just to show some examples of some different look and feels. And the reason we do that is every clinic has a different looking website or different look and feel. You probably, as a clinic owner that are listening to this podcast, may have invested a fair amount of money working with a designer, creating a website that reflects who you are in your brand. So we work with existing websites. So the very baseline for what we do is everybody has to have a website. We work with clinics that have websites. Probably the majority of the clinics we work with have already invested a ton of money, and they're just trying to elevate the performance of the website. So we can work with existing designs that have been created. For clinics that may be looking for a refresh or may not have a website, we can deal with that too. So that's what we call the starting point is everyone needs to have a website of some sort. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to log into our administration tool, and this is an administration tool that every clinic we work with has access to for themselves. And when I log in, I get a little pop-up window that just lets me know about some things that this particular clinic, now this is a fake clinic, isn't using, and it'll just be a bit of a reminder of various things that are available. So I'm going to close out this window. And when I log in, I get a dashboard that provides me with key information about my online marketing performance, and this is across multiple channels. So up at the very top, I see some information about website activity, and this is really condensed to be what we think are some of the most insightful pieces of information that people want to see regularly, and there are ways to dig deeper and get more detailed information from your analytics. So here I'm looking at page views per visit, unique visitors. I can see how many live chats I've had on my website if that was enabled. Over on the right side, I have a response section, which lets me know how people are actually responding and converting. So I have a phone calls tab, and if that's enabled, where we have a phone call tracking function. Let me know how many phone calls I got from my website during the reporting period. How many live chat inquiries, so this would be out of the 162, for example, how many inquiries I actually received from the live chat for people that provided the contact information, how many appointment forms were filled out, how many contact forms. So there's different ways that people can respond from online marketing. So we want to provide all that data at a high level. And then down below, we've got some marketing content information. So, am I sitting on the page one of Google? How many completed surveys did I receive? What's my net promoter score, which is a globally accepted scoring system for patient satisfaction. There's not really any major company in the world that doesn't use this number. We can explain, if we're talking with anyone, exactly how that works. But it's a good benchmark for customer satisfaction. How many newsletters you sent, your number of Facebook fans, and your number of Facebook post impressions. So the whole objective with that top block is to really bring all aspects of online marketing into one view to see, kind of how things are going in the last month. And then down below this, we have a chart that'll let you know kind of, where you're scoring in terms of percentage of usage of overall features. And then we have a list of things that are going well with your website down on the right-hand side. And then down below, we get into what's happened recently. So you'll be able to see what articles people have been reading on your website. And it's actually by time. So this was 3 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, 22 minutes ago. Someone read, ankle bracing for impact type articles. So it's really good information in terms of what people are viewing. And then on the right-hand side, you get the most viewed pages of your site versus what just happened recently. So Jarod, I don't know if you have any kind of comments or questions, but that's kind of the starting point for what someone sees when they first log in.
No, that's fantastic. As they say, what gets measured gets managed, and I think it's extremely rare that anyone has this kind of data all in one place. So I'm pumped already. So please keep going.
All right, so let's move forward. So starting back from a basic website, we're going to assume every clinic is going to have pages on their website where you're talking about your services, your staff, all that kind of information. Built into patient sites up on the top menu, we have a content tab. So let's start with content. There's two areas of content. The first is your clinic pages. Now I'm logged into a fake clinic site, so it's not going to be real information. But what we put together, for those of you that have used like a WordPress type tool, it's very, very similar. It's what we call a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So if I wanted to, type in welcome to the podcast, I can just type that in as I would in Microsoft Word. We can highlight it, center it, select our font colors, our font sizes, all that kind of stuff. So it's really simple to, customize the content. You can also upload your own pictures, insert images. We have a slideshow builder that makes it simple to upload if you want to have 10 pictures that rotate, all that kind of stuff. So if things are happening in your clinic where you want to be able to update your own content, you can easily do that. We also can manage those changes. We have a lot of clinics that will just email us stuff and go, hey, can you put up this new bio? We'll log into the tool and do it for you if that's what you prefer. For clinics that are working with us, we will review your clinic content and provide any input as it relates to marketing content and also for search engine optimization to make sure that everything that you put together is set up to be optimal. All of the pages have got SEO settings, so we can go in and change our page titles, our URL, or our slug value that shows up at the top of our website. And there was some more detail in that in the podcast that we recorded. But everything is available in here to make those kind of changes. We call this again. Sorry, go ahead.
On the URL, so that when you enter that in, that would be what you see after the backslash. So say carterpt.com/our service.
Yeah, exactly. Or okay. And this being a fake page, but if it was physical therapy, in your area of Texas, you would put in physical therapy in your particular market, and that would show up in the web address at the top.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Okay, so this is another kind of area of what we call cost of baseline cost of entry. Everybody, I think, should have the ability, whether you do it or not, because you could outsource the work, should have the ability to easily change your own clinic content. So that's built into our system, similar to a WordPress. And for the marketing features that we'll talk about next, we can integrate those features with your existing external site. It doesn't have to. We don't have to take over the hosting of a website for a clinic that has a setup that they like. But in most cases, clinics choose to migrate over. Okay, so that's let's kind of close the chapter on what I call you have to have a website, you have to have good content, you have to like the way your site looks. and then we'll move on to what Patient Sites actually does from a value proposition standpoint. So flipping through a couple different examples again, I'm going to go to one of the sites that we work with. And on the right-hand side down here, I'm going to click a menu for injuries and conditions. And this is going to take us into an educational library of content that we produce. Now we've got currently over 1,300 articles, and those articles have natively got some customization in them for clinic name and clinic locations. The idea being that people can, as you'll probably have seen on various sites before, can hover over a body map and look at articles they may be interested in. So I'm going to click in here and look at a whole bunch of back pain articles, and I used to struggle with lumbar disc herniation, so let's pick that. And when I come into this article, it's going to talk about physical therapy, in this case in Chicago, for lower back conditions. That's going to be customized to the region of any particular clinic. The clinic name is weaved into it. There's lots of really high resolution images that provide contextual information about the condition. And we also use media a lot. So as you play, hit the play button on the videos, it's going to launch a window where they'll have voiceovers where people can listen and view animations that go hand in hand what they're reading about to provide some solid information about the anatomy, causes, symptoms. And as you read through articles we produce, they're really heavy on the role of physical therapy in terms of treatment and rehabilitation. So ultimately what we're trying to do is we said, if we're going to provide patient education on a website, it needs to be the best content you're going to find anywhere, and it has to be contextual to the physical therapy service. So we haven't taken kind of canned content and done like a chiropractor version, a physical therapy version, a massage therapy version. We've customized all of this content through the lens and the standpoint of physical therapy. One of the questions that we'll get a lot is, man, 1,300 articles, how many of these get read? In your analytics, if you're working with us, you'll be able to take a look at, how people are using and consuming content. One of the things that we've done recently is we put together this little dashboard that we view internally, and this is going to update real time and actually let us know across various markets that we're working in, what people are reading. So, 6 seconds ago, someone launched, stretching guide for gymnastics in Regina. Somebody was reading about upper back and neck in the Bronx 46 seconds ago. Someone in Overland Park just got into the lower back section. Someone else is, reading about adult humerus fractures and Katanning 45 seconds ago. So if I just let this run, for an hour, you would be amazed at the range of content. And this is things that people are looking at real time as we're sitting here, having this conversation.
Is there, this raised a question for me, like it obviously it's honing in on where that person is. Is there any way, I guess there's probably not a way to reach out directly to these people as they're reading, correct? I mean, it's just, that would probably go against certain rules of the internet, but you can kind of get an idea of how many people in your actual area are reading on your website about certain things, correct?
Yeah, so from every single clinic can absolutely do that. So this one particular view is really just, really interesting to us because it gives us a good visualization. At a local clinic level, there's two things that you can do. You can go into your Google Analytics, and it'll let you know exactly, what articles people are viewing and what's viewed most. And there's also some other tools, like one of them we talked about in the podcast earlier today. So, for example, we have a live chat system that we've got natively built into our software, and that will determine if somebody's on a chat session, we'll be able to determine that, what page that person was on when they were initiated the chat. So if somebody's reading about, a herniated disc, the person who's receiving the chat will know that they're on herniated disc. And then from a overall site performance standpoint, that also gives us some objective data to know that people that are reading these educational articles are also putting their hand up, and converting into leads.
Okay, very good. So you can, if the person is on live chat, if you say your receptionist is kind of monitoring it and interacting with prospective patients, he or she can see, okay, this person was engaged in this chat and they are on the herniated disc page, they can use that information in the way they interact with them.
Absolutely.
In terms of
Yep.
they can say, okay,
Yep.
I see that you're reading about disc herniations. Are you in pain? Are you having pain down your leg? Blah, blah, blah. So you can really kind of customize the way you engage with that person based on what page they were viewing when they started the chat. That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we're finding 15 to 20% of people that are engaging in chats are engaging in them that are not existing patients, are engaging in them from these educational articles. And the lion's share of those, like 70% and higher, are converting into leads where they're providing their phone number, their email address, and saying let's talk, right? So it's valuable from an overall kind of analytic standpoint, but it's also able to see what it's doing in terms of driving business.
Okay, great.
Okay. So I'm going to flip back to the administration tools. We talked a little bit inside the content area about being able to manage your clinic content, which I think everyone should be able to do. One of the interesting things from the educational content standpoint, there's a section in here for patient education. And for the content that we provide, as a clinic owner, you can go in and turn on or off any of the articles. So for example, if I go to injuries and conditions and then go to lower back, you'll see I can turn off any of these categories. If I click on a category like lower back issues, it'll give me a list of the articles. And we were looking at lumbar disc herniation, which is second from the bottom. I could turn that particular article off if for some reason I wanted to. And I could even go into edit mode. And in edit mode, I could go in and make a change to that article just for my clinic. So, so the entire concept here is that what we do from a educational content standpoint works out of the gate, turnkey, nothing has to be done, but you can exert as much customization over the process as you want to.
Okay. Very good.
We also have a
question about the articles.
Yep, absolutely.
With the articles themselves, did I hear you say earlier, or maybe it was on the podcast, that they're actually written by physical therapists?
Yeah, they're all touched by physical therapists, and many of them are written by them. So we've got a pretty robust editorial process. So content originates from two sources. Number one, we either have physical therapists or medical writers that create the content for us. Number two is we also have paid partnerships with some leaders in content production. Like we have a group out of Montana that's owned by orthopedic surgeons, and they produce phenomenal animations. So it starts in one of those two scenarios. And then whether it's been licensed or whether it's been created by one of our writers, then it goes to, we have, for lack of a better term, some more kind of junior physical therapists that do a lot of the initial editing and review, who then push it up to some senior physical therapists that do a review. And then finally, all the content goes up to a review board of clinic owners that give everything the final checklist. And then once it's been cleared that cycle, then we push it out to our system. When we push it out to our system, the clinics that work with us have an option in the admin tool to say we want to have any content from patient sites that's new automatically show up on our website. And you've seen here that you've still have control over turning it on or off, and we notify you. Mm-hmm. We even have an override value where a clinic can say, we don't want anything new to go on our site until we review it. And then it goes into a holding queue where you as a clinic can say, okay, here's the 10 new articles, and you can go through and turn them on, to basically release them to your site. So it's very, very thorough from both a content editorial process and from a clinic content management standpoint.
Fantastic. That's great. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Okay.
So that's our content area. And as I said, there's over 1,300 articles that we produce, and they're all easy to manage. The next tab over here is design. We've got two ways that we can help a clinic get a website up and running. We have some templates that are free to use or ready to go, and you can come into our gallery, flip through them, and basically launch a new design, and away you go. We can also do custom designs or implement an existing custom design you already have. So it's just a matter of making sure that everyone's happy with the design that they put together. My next tab over here are customers and newsletters. These two things are tied in together. I'm going to go to newsletters first. So in newsletters, we will see a list of all of the newsletters that we produce. This is, again, a demo account, so there's a bunch of samples in here. So we did a Happy Holidays. We actually do a really cool Happy Holidays card every year, which is an animated card. This one was like an elf in Santa's workshop, trips, hurts their knee, gets shipped off to a physical therapy clinic. And when they arrive at the clinic, it's got the clinic name on the outside of the building. You can actually see Santa calling the clinic, and it's got the clinic business card with the name on his desk. So we try to do some fun stuff like that. But we also produce monthly newsletters, and the monthly newsletters are, again, content loaded and ready to go. So in the newsletters, you'll be able to go in and take a look at whatever the topics are. And we highly recommend that clinics customize newsletters with things that are going on at the clinic. So again, if there's something going on, a new staff member, an event coming up, being able to personalize things with things that are uniquely related to your service, we highly recommend. But again, the idea being what we produce, if you're having a busy month and you don't have time, is literally ready to go. We don't send newsletters to your patients directly. We only push it to your admin tool. And from the admin tool, you can do any necessary changes or just give it an approval. Then you can send it out. It would personalize it to every patient by name, so Dear Jared, Dear Jennifer, Dear whoever. And that'll tie into our customer section at the top. And the customer section is our mailing list. So the mailing list allows you to do segmented groups. You can have a group of physicians versus a group of patients. You could have massage patients versus PT patients. So you can slice and dice it any way that you want. And we do all of the bounce handling. So if an email address doesn't exist, we automatically remove them from a future mailing, so you're not going to be flagged as spamming somebody. All the unsubscribe handlings that have to be there from a compliance standpoint, all those things are in place and completely manageable by the clinic. So it's a combination of taking a newsletter database and a newsletter content production process and putting the two things together. So it's really simple to, at minimum, send out a newsletter that we produce, and ideally, further customize it with some things at your clinic.
And how frequently do you guys at patient sites create a new newsletter that a clinic can then decide if they want to send out or not?
We do it once a month.
Once a month. Okay, perfect.
Yep. Perfect. And each clinic will decide on their own ideal frequency, right? Some clinics will send them out once a month. Some clinics, may do it, less frequently. But that's why we really want to leave the control over triggering those with the clinic themselves, versus saying, hey, we're your solution, and before you know it, a newsletter's out, and you had no say over it.
Right. Perfect.
Okay. So that's our newsletter section. We have a surveys tool built in too, which is really used this is more of a satisfaction survey system. And like everything else we do, I think what you'll see through most of our services, that everything is ready. You don't have to do any work, but you can manipulate it as much as you want to. So I have a discharge survey, for example, so I can view it online. It'll adapt to your website design, and we've got a preset list of questions here. Rating poor to excellent, experience during your visit, experience with your therapist, the appointment setting, and then we have this Net Promoter Score question, which is quite simply, how likely are you to recommend our clinic to your friends and relatives? This is the global scoring system I was talking about, which provides you with a analysis that you can basically benchmark against other industries and other businesses. You'll get a lot of good data in here. There's a full reporting system. I'm going to show you an example of something interesting. One of the clinics that we're doing is working with. This is a clinic out of New York. And we have a tool in our survey system that's not natively turned on. You have to request it, because a lot of clinics may not be happy if it was just automatic. But what it'll do is it'll turn the responses to certain survey questions live on your website. It's almost like your own review tool, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at this clinic, and what I'm viewing here is real data. I can see it on their website, right? So this is real data from their survey system. So it'll let me know, whether the response was poor through excellent for a particular question. I can even expand in and view the comments, so I can see, what people commented on about that particular question. So you kind of become your own mini Yelp, so to speak, right? Where you create a level of transparency with the visitor and let them know that, hey, we're all in the process of improving here, and here's what people are saying about us.
Cool.
Okay. But as a clinic owner, you'll get access to more insights and more data than you would see on here, because obviously we don't turn everything onto the public report should someone be using that. Okay. So that's our survey system. We have a detailed reporting section where you'll see, again, keep in mind this is a fake account, so you're not going to see real clinic data. So I'll get more detail on pages in terms of visits and activity, keywords that were used to find my site than I would have seen on the dashboard. And again, you can even go deeper than this, but this is the next level of reporting. We have a Facebook report, which will pull in what posts are performing the best in terms of reach, page consumption, likes, engagement, all that kind of stuff. It's quite interesting. And on Facebook, you'll see your posts will let you know how many people saw it, but you're not able to necessarily compare them all in the list, so to speak. So this makes it really, really simple to find out how your posts are performing relative to each other.
Very nice.
And then we have our live chat report, and this one's quite interesting because this will allow you, and this is, I think you'll find unique to patient sites in terms of, we actually built our own live chat system, not because we wanted to get into that business, but we found to provide the level of data we'll show you here required building our own system. So we can come in here and say we want to view people. So this is going to let me see during this reporting period I had 47 chats that happened. I can come in here and say I want to see anybody who was new, meaning they're not an existing patient, and we know this because our live chat system has a function that right off the top, the first question it'll ask you is, are you an existing patient? And it provides them, and then they have to respond yes or no, right? So if they say no, then we know it's a prospective patient. And so I can go in and redraw that list and say, okay, out of 47, 27 people of the chats were not existing patients. We generally see as a rule of thumb about 50% of people that are engaging in chat are not existing patients. Then I can go deeper and say, okay, out of those people, how many requested a follow-up, meaning that they actually provided their contact information for the clinic to reach them. And I'll redraw that list, and then I'll say that was 21 out of 27, right? Generally, we see another 50-50 correlation, when you look at across the board, meaning that if there's 50 people that are not existing patients in chat, 25% of them will provide their contact information. So, some good filtering from an analysis standpoint that's built into the back end of this tool. And then my last sub-tab here is call reporting. And in call reporting, I can go into a monthly period. Now I'm in a fake clinic that doesn't actually have phone numbers set up. But if I was running, my own clinic and I'd set up tracking numbers, I could see how many people called from the website during a period. And we built that right into our system where inside our settings section, I could come in and purchase a phone number for my website. So I would just go to US. You're in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go to Texas. Pick an area code you like, Jared.
Yeah. 512, please.
Okay, so I pick a 512. I'll go and search numbers, and then it'll come back and give me a bunch of 512 numbers that are available. And I'll pick one that I like, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to use this to track my website phone leads. I could also get a number for my yellow pages or my business cards or whatever else I wanted to do. And then I'd select which location I wanted to forward it to, and literally I can go in now and buy this number. And there's a fee, so it's $3 a month, which is fairly cheap to own a number, and then 5 cents per minute used. And I'm done. So that quickly I've gone and purchased a number, which I can then use on my website and start getting information immediately from who's calling in.
Now, will that automatically load in? And if you had phone numbers listed on your site, would it load in and change those out so that you had only that number on your site?
Yep, for the most part. If you select web as the source, depending on your template, so some, we don't recommend it, but some sites have got, for example, images used for phone numbers at the top of their site. In that case, an image replacement would be needed, but if it's text-based, it would update automatically.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And then we have a blog tool, which is on the other side of reports, and this is used for creating blog posts. So it's similar to a WordPress type tool. You can create posts that are scheduled to be on your site later, so it'll be a release publication type system. You can set, so this is, again, a fake clinic site, but if I go into edit mode, you'll see that, if I was holding an open house for snowboarders, we can go in and customize the fonts, the colors, all that kind of jazz. Put in our titles or descriptions or slug or URL value that goes up at the top of the page, just like we can on our clinic content. And we have all the things you would need, like an RSS feed. If you want it to punch it out to a third-party system, you can do that. So it all lives within the same platform.
Cool. Very cool.
So that's our blog tool. And then there's a few other things that live inside here. We have a social media area of the admin tool, and where you can set up your account IDs for your social media accounts. And that'll do things like, depending on the template you use, it could enable, like your Facebook interactive menus on your site, where you can see people that have liked you. You can view your recent posts. We also produce content for social media. So it's outside of the admin tool, but about twice a week on average, we will post a piece of content to the clinic Facebook page. It'll appear as the clinic posted it themselves. And that content that we produce will either be educational, meaning that it's highlighting something from the patient education category and saying, hey, did you know, or do you want to learn more about, whatever the topic will be from our list of 1,300 articles. And that will link automatically back to the clinic's, not main page, but the article about that topic. And we'll also post content that's inspirational in nature, such as videos or inspirational quotes. And we talked about this a little bit on the podcast earlier. We also look for social media to be effective. There's a component that we can't do, which is the things that we call authentically you as a clinic, which is what's happening with your staff, your people, your patients, your environment. That's your story, right? And when those things all come together well, I think there's a really good formula for social media success.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, it's just so automated. That's perfect.
So that's that is basically the overall tour of patient sites.
Okay, great. One question that comes to mind, since so many people are doing things on mobile now, do you guys provide a mobile version with each site that you're managing, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's a little tough to show on a desktop screen, but we do.
Right.
So what happens is, if somebody's coming into your website from a mobile device, it'll detect the device, and there's a couple of ways that you can handle mobile. Like most smartphones now will automatically downscale a full website, so people can pinch and zoom their way through your site, which can work. What we generally recommend is using what's called our mobile version, which is a little bit different. It's the same content, but it's restructured for mobile. So at the very, very top, what we do automatically is load a link to your location, which opens inside their phone map application. We're trying to think of visitors that are maybe on the way to the clinic, and they're pulling it up because they've never been there before. We want to make it easy for them to find that link to view their map and get driving directions. If you've got a multiple location clinic, how do they phone you, right? So we make it simple to select right at the very top of the mobile application which location do they want. It loads the phone number, and that automatically dials into their phone dialer. So it'll dial, directly to the clinic, without having to punch in the numbers. So we do some different things like that on mobile because of the way mobiles are used. And then we also have all the content. So the content's accessible in terms of your clinic pages, the patient education, but it's just collapsed into more of a mobile, large button menu structure. This is very, very simple to navigate. And in the back end, you have the option in my settings area, we have a mobile submenu. And in the mobile submenu, you can set, layouts. Like we have an app like grid layout for your mobile menu. We have a list type menu. You can customize the iconography. You can customize the colors. And you can also say, hey, we just want to show the classic version, which will be downscaling your regular web version if you preferred. So it's fairly flexible for sure.
That's awesome. That is really, you guys have truly thought of it all as far as I can see. So I'm sure that most people, if they've watched all this, and especially if they heard the podcast as well, those who are interested are going to want to know pricing. And I know that, over time pricing may change, and people may be watching this video years from now. But, at the time of this recording, kind of how does it work in terms of pricing? How can people get started?
Yeah, it's a fair question, of course. So we try to keep pricing really simple. For a single location clinic, it's $129 a month, and that covers essentially everything we do. There's a couple of things we show today, like phone tracking. If you wanted to use that, we actually have to go and acquire phone numbers for you, but we do it at a lower cost than you'd find elsewhere. So that that'd be a very low cost. But essentially everything we do is baked into to $129 a month. If you've got multiple locations, there's some incremental charges, like for up to 5 locations, it goes to $154 versus $129. So it's smaller jumps. And from a website design standpoint, if a clinic's using our template, it's there's no other fees. Straight $129 a month. There's no contract. So we like to say, if you work with us for 3 months and decided you thought this wasn't working, then we lose out, because we invest a ton of time with clinics up front in terms of training, support, getting them up and running. So we're really invested to make this work with you in the long term, and the onus is on us to kind of prove value.
Right.
But from a design standpoint, it's no cost to use our templates. If you want to do a custom design from scratch, there's a $1,000 fee to do that. If you want to work with an existing site design that you really like, we'd have to integrate that on our end for the patient education menu. So there's $500 for there. So it's $0, $500, or $1,000, depending on what you want to do with design. But the monthly fee is the same for everybody.
And that's extremely fair. If you were starting from scratch and getting a website designed, with someone, with the people that work, at the level that patient sites do, to get that done for only $1,000 is really cheap, actually. So even if they wanted to go that route, that's extremely reasonable. So you said the $500 was if they already have a website and they want to integrate patient sites and all this, they want to meld their site or current site with all that you do at patient sites, then that's $500. And if they're starting from scratch and fine with the template approach, then it's free.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no cost with the template approach at all. And our pricing doesn't change, to be honest. So we were at the APTA annual show in Colorado Springs a couple weeks ago, and it'll happen on occasion. So a clinic owner was like, "We love this, but can we get a deal, because we don't want to use the blog part?" And my response was, well, the product was $129 3 years ago, when there was no blog, there was no Facebook feed, there was no, there was no survey tool, right? So what we really try to do is invest in making the product better and better and better, deliver the most value for the money. And when it comes to professional services, the other thing that we do, and the reason we price custom website design the way we do, is we just want to break even, right? So if you needed, like we had a clinic right now that probably needed about 4 days of content writing work, and they needed help with it, right? So we assigned one of our content writers to work with the clinic, and our absolute cost of getting good content writing done, like not marked up, just a cost, is $25 an hour. So we charge the clinic 4 days a time at $25 an hour, because if we can help you as a clinic owner get more value from your website, we'd rather do that than be trying to turn the clock on billable hours. So we're really about creating an ongoing relationship with clinics, but trying to not be doing things that make it hard for you to improve your website performance whenever you need something custom done.
Right on. And just the level at which there's so many different components, not just website based, but also with social media, the live chat, the email newsletters, all of these different things that encompass the totality of what I think every clinic should be doing in terms of online marketing. And it's not only it's done for you, yet completely editable and customizable. So man, hats off to what you guys have done. This has been great, I'm just really excited to present it to my audience. And for those of you watching this, say on YouTube, not at my website, I'll make sure there's a link below or within the video. Always mention that you heard about it from Jarod Carter or from Dr. Jarod Carter's site, because Scott has been nice enough to work out an ongoing deal for anyone that mentions me and signs up. So you'll get some cost savings there as well. So anything else, Scott, that we haven't covered about patient sites?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Anybody who has questions, we can definitely go deeper on a one-on-one basis based on what you want to learn more about. This is our 7th year with patient sites. We absolutely have enjoyed the ride so far, and I think created something that we're proud of. It's we've done a lot of this kind of stuff prior to building patient sites on one-off engagements with some pretty big companies, but to see it come together in really, we call it a perfect partnership, because the product's largely steered by PT clinic owners that continually come back to us and go, what if? Could you do this? This would be interesting. And it's been a lot of fun. So if any of your listeners have questions, we'd be happy to talk and get into more detail.
Awesome. Thanks so much again, Scott, and look forward to working with you guys moving forward.
Likewise, my pleasure. Have a great day.
All right, you too.